Another variation of a very common exam paper question is this sort of thing, whereby they don't ask, for example, for the 7th term or the 6th term or the coefficient of the 10th term or whatever. What they do is they ask you what is the term in x to the 4. In other words, they want you to write down what the term is that involves x to the 4. It's very straightforward. If you remember how we constructed these terms in the past, let's say we had a bracket to a power 7, like so, and let's say we had a 1 to an x to the power 7, then what you'd have every time is 7 choose something. Now if you wanted x to the 4, then you'd have to have x to the power 4 as your second term there. That would be x to the 4, and it would be 1 to the power 3. That's the term from this expansion that would give you x to the 4. And remember, if that is x to the 4, then the choose value would be the same as it. 7 choose 4 would be the equivalent choose value to go with x to the 4 there and 1 cubed there. So that's basically how you figure out which term it is we're talking about. So in this particular expansion, 1 plus x to the 20, you know that the term in x to the 4 will be, well, it must be 20 choose something because it's power 20. If the x is the second term, then the second part of this term that we've got multiplying together must be x to the power 4, and that means the first part, which is the 1, put it in the bracket if you want, would be power 16. So 1 to the 16, x to the 4. If that is an x to the 4 as the second term, then you know that that must be 4 there. So that is basically the term in x to the 4. And of course, if they expect you to simplify it, then you'd have to go 20 by 19 by 18 by 17 all over 4 by 3 by 2 by 1 x to the 4, because 1 to the 16 is 1. And you just simplify that. So a little bit of cancelling perhaps. 2 into 20 goes 10 times, and then 3 goes into 18 goes 6 times. And then, well, you can either, let's cancel again, 2 into 4 goes twice, and 2 into 6 goes 3 times, like so. And then we've got 2 goes into 10 5 times. A load of cancelling going on there. It's not a very nice sum. So you end up with, I think we've got 5 times 19 times 3 times 17 x to the 4s. Okay? Which of course is not a very nice calculation, but you would never get figures like that in the exam because they're too big. It's paper 1, it's C1, no calculator. Obviously if we're doing a binomial on C4, where we do have binomial questions, with a calculator to hand, you could well get a calculation like that. So you just have to work that out. 5 19s, what's that? 119, 95, times by 3 17s, that's 51, so you got 95 times 51, okay, x to the 4s. 95 times 51, I'll just do it very quickly. 5 ones are 5, 9 ones are 9, 0 down, 5 5s are 25, 5 down carry 2, 9 5s are 45, add 2, 47, add them up, 5, 4 down carry 1, 8, 4. So we've got 4,845 x to the 4. And that is the term in x to the 4 for that particular expansion. Okay, let's try another one. I won't make the figures so awkward this time because they're not going to be on C1, very awkward. Let me get rid of that. So let's say I have, for this particular one then, x plus 2 to the power 14, and let's say I want the term in x cubed. Okay, the term in x cubed. Right, notice this time the x is the first term in the bracket, so you've got to be careful. Here we go. Term in x cubed. Okay, for this one then, the term in x cubed, well, if it's power 14, you're going to have 14 choose something. Okay, now the second term is plus 2 this time. so it's going to be plus 2 to some power. It's the first term which is the x, which is what I'm after, and that must be a power 3. Obviously must be a power 3. So this one here is power 3, so if it's power 14, that must be power 11. So that will give us the term in x cubed and then plus 2 to the power 11. If that's 11 there, we have to write down that as 11 there. So that is the term that I'm looking for. Once again, the figures don't look to be very nice, but we'll have a go, see what it's like. 14 choose 11. Thankfully from symmetry, that's the same as 14 choose 3. So we just have to do 14 by 13 by 12 over 3 by 2 by 1. And then x cubed times 2 to the 11. Right, well 2 to the 11, that's not very nice. I'll write it as 2 to the 11 for the moment, and then x cubed. Okay, a little bit of cancelling going on. 3 2's are 6, and they go into 12 twice. So we've got 14 times 13 times 2 times 2 to the 11. Well, do you know what? I'm not even going to bother working it out. Why waste time on the video? You get the basic idea of this is the important thing, how you would structure that. Okay? So I'm not even going to work it out. Obviously, on the C1 paper, there'd be easier figures. If I give you another one here, very quickly, if I said to you x minus 3 to the power 17, and I want the term in x to the 10. Okay, term in x to the 10. I'm not going to work it out because the figures will be awkward, but it's the principle that's important. So term in x to the 10. Well, it's going to be 17 choose something because of the power there. If it's x the first term, you want x to the 10 to appear. So that means you must have a negative 3 to the power 7. 7 and 10 makes 17. If this second term is 7, that must be 7. So there you go. There is the calculation that you need to do. There's the term in x to the 10. If you wanted to work it out, then obviously you choose 17, choose 10. It's 17 by 16 by 15 by and so on over 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then minus 3 to the 7, you'd have to work it out. But I'm not going to do all that. There is the basic term that you're looking for. Okay. I'll do one more on this short video. Okay. Let's say you have something like 2x minus 7 to the power 100. And I want the term in x to the 42. Now obviously you will not get one like this. The figures in this would be horrendous without a calculator. But let's just get the basic term in terms of the choose value. Okay, so it's going to be the term in x to the 42 will be 100 choose something. The first term here is going to be 2x to some power. 2x to some power. Now, if you want this to be power 42, if you want x to be power 42, that's going to have to be to the power 42. So 2x to the power 42. So you're going to have to do 2 to the 42 and then x to the 42. Then of course you've got the minus 7, and if it's a power 100 in the question, that's 42, then this must be power 58. So you've got a horrendous calculation here to do without a calculator. Minus 7 to the power 58. I'm obviously not going to do it. If that's power 58, then that would be a 58 on the choose value. So that's what you'd have to work out. Now you'd obviously have to be careful. That's 2 to the 42. X to the 42 and then times by that, and you'd have to work out a really nasty choose value. Obviously if you've got a calculator it's easy because there is actually a button on the calculator that'll work out 100 choose 58 for you. There's obviously a power button and a power button, so it wouldn't be too difficult with a calculator, but I'm not going to do it. That is the basic idea of how you find a particular term of x to a certain power from an expansion without doing the whole expansion. In the next video I'm going to do a slightly different style of exam question.